Setting up OpenClaw in a virtual private server isn't as complicated as people make it seem online. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can do it pretty much in about 8 minutes. We're going to use DigitalOcean. I found that to be one of the easiest solutions out there. The only thing you're going to need is access to a terminal. You're going to need to have your own API key from OpenRouter, which is pretty much going to be the brain running your OpenClaw. And also you're going to have to set up your own billing in DigitalOcean so you can actually run your server and host your OpenClaw there. Without anything else to say, let's dive right into the computer and set this thing up. Let's get right to it. So the way we're going to set up OpenClaw is we're going to be pretty much using a server online. So in this example, we're going to be doing DigitalOcean, but I've seen people online do it with Hostinger. Some people are doing it with AWS. So different routes have its own pros and cons, but honestly, I found this way to be a pretty fast route. We're just going to go this way. Once you're on DigitalOcean, the most important thing you have to do right off the bat is make sure you set up your billing, because if you don't set up your billing, you won't be able to deploy a virtual private server. So this can be its own environment where the AI or the OpenClaw is going to be able to pretty much do its own thing, run, and it's going to be completely isolated from your computer or any other personal machine that you have. So that's why people are running it on OpenClaw. The very first thing what you want to do is you want to go to droplets. So it's basically like virtual private servers you can rent from them. And just a quick warning, if you are going to be running OpenClaw on DigitalOcean, I'm just saying if you ever cancel your plan or you stop running it, everything's going to be wiped from the virtual private server because they need to clean up their resources. They don't need your stuff running there. So everything's going to be deleted. So just make sure that you understand that if you do run this thing on DigitalOcean, to at least at some point back up your files or have a migration plan out of it before you ever have a failed payment or you cancel your plan. Now what you want to do is you want to press create droplet. So we're going to be pretty much creating our server online. Once you press create droplet, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to press the region that is near you, the closest. And for me, it's San Francisco. Then once you scroll down just a little bit, where you want to go is to marketplace. You're going to want to select on OpenClaw right here. Once you are done with that, you're going to want to now select the type of processing power for your OpenClaw and just follow down the screen here. And there's two ways how you can pretty much connect into the OpenClaw through a virtual private server. Through SSH key, which is a private key on your computer, which then gets pretty much access into the server. That's the safest way. If you want to go through a root password in order to access that, that is a more quicker way. But in this case, we're just going to do it with SSH. And it's then going to be linked to my MacBook Pro. And one thing I forgot to do is to set the CPU options for what my virtual server is going to be running on. So it really depends. If you just want to quickly test, you can just try 2 gigabytes of RAM and then 50 gigabytes of storage. It's going to be cheap. But honestly, just as a baseline, if you know you're going to potentially be experimenting this for 30 days and beyond to kind of really see if this is like worth it long term, then just go with this option, and over time you can upgrade. The one thing about DigitalOcean is I do not believe like if you upgrade, you can go back down a plan. That's just a personal note here. Once you set the configurations there, then just give this thing a name. You can just name it OpenClaw bot or whatever, and then create the droplet. So by the way this thing bills is per hour, not right away per month. You can just cancel it and then you'll be done and just build whatever it costs you to run it for that duration. But in this case, we're just gonna create it with this setting. And then as you see here, I'm gonna have to blur out what I got here, but the server is getting set up. And in a moment, it's going to show you exactly how you can get set up with OpenClaw. So even if you press the get started here, after you press OpenClaw, they have a simple, easy way how you can get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to deploy it. We're going to make sure everything is properly installed. So one thing you are going to need here before you fully step away from this is if you go back here, you're going to want to just copy this command. So it's just, you're going to SSH through the private key on your computer into the droplet ID, which is pretty much the server IP address. So you can, by the way, if you click into here, you can access the actual OpenClaw through the console. But the way we're going to access it is through the IP address. So if we go back and press the get started, you're going to want to copy this. You're going to want to open terminal on your computer and then paste the command there. And then what you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to wipe this out. Come back here, copy the IP address, and then you're going to pretty much access the server through your computer, right? So Are you sure you want to continue reconnecting? You can just do yes. And then now what we have here is like the setup guide for OpenClaw. So here it is. And now what you want to do is provide or set the provider. In this case, we're going to use OpenRouter. If you don't have a OpenRouter key, you can go fetch that now. OpenRouter is pretty much the place where you can select the brain that's going to be running your OpenClaw. And the reason why we use OpenClaw, or I like using OpenClaw, is because they have hundreds of different models and there's always new models being added. So rather than getting hundreds of different API keys from different providers, you can just use this one platform, fill it up with credits, and then switch them in and out whenever you want. So we're going to get the API key, which is basically a key to access the credits and the models. We're going to do demo 1 here as the name. And then what you can do is you can select a expiration date. In this case, just for the demo, I'm not going to put any expiration date. And then once you have the key, you can pretty much come back here and then you can paste the key. So now this is going to select, or what's called, we're going to hook up OpenRouter to our OpenClaw. What you're going to want to do is follow this dashboard URL. Then we're going to want to paste this token, copy this token. You're going to want to go to overview. You're going to want to paste it. And then it's going to ask you to pair your device. And then pretty much if you read the instruction here, it's going to say pairing is required. So once you see the pairing required, which happens right here, you're just going to want to press or type continue. Now it's searching for the pairing. Said it found a pairing request now. And now it says I can refresh the UI and then I should be able to use it. So let's just quickly test and see whether or not the OpenClaw is actually running. So we're going to just say hi. If your OpenClaw is not up to date, it says currently we're on version 3.2. You can just press update and it's just going to update. But here we're just waiting for a response from the auto model from OpenClaw. And then once it's given you a response, you can pretty much follow the onboarding. It's woken up. You can pretty much tell it more about you, who you are, what you'd like it to do. And then, yep. And there you go. And once you have basically got a response from it, it shows you it is active and live. It's using your API key. And you are pretty much running this thing on a virtual private server right now. So anytime in the future, if you have to pretty much access this OpenClaw and you're using another, or what's called like you step away from your computer turns off, you just pretty much want to run the same exact command that you used with the SSH. So you're going to want to just come back here. You're going to want to pretty much copy this or just like save it somewhere in notes. And you're going to like pretty much SSH key into the environment here. And then just the only thing you have to do is just put in the droplet IP address. And then that's it. You'll be able to follow and enter the URL for the dashboard that it provides you. Thanks for watching the video. If you'd like to learn more about AI, how you can implement it into your life, into your business, you can subscribe for more. Or alternatively, you can check out my website and you can subscribe to the newsletter where every single week I post the latest findings, the drops, freebies, templates, things, all that cool stuff. So if you're interested in that, check out my website. Other than that, thanks for watching.